This is Mike Joe from Kombo.com, and I'm speaking with Joe Fletcher of D3. We're going to talk about Puzzle Quest 2 on Xbox 360. What do you do at D3?
I'm Joe Fletcher. I'm one of the producers here at D3 Publisher. I'm actually the producer on Puzzle Quest 2 as well.
Well, that's convenient because that's what we're going to talk about. So what's up? What's new for the sequel?
Well, there's a lot new for the sequel. I mean, first and foremost, the action's a little bit more up close. It's more of a dungeon crawler this time around than kind of an overworld map. New gem types in the game. You have the gauntlet gems, which let you do direct attacks with weapons, use shields in combat, mana potions, things like that. There's also a new mana type as well, with the purple gem, allowing you to cast like drain life type spells, things that affect your opponent with status debuffs and things like that. So those are the major new things that are up with Puzzle Quest 2.
Right, I've heard a lot actually about the change from the overworld map to the dungeon crawling. So what effect is that going to have on the gameplay?
When you go to the dungeon crawling type thing, it allows us to kind of put you into different situations where you're seeing entirely different environments in the game. Whereas with the first one where you're in the overworld map, you get to see the entire world, and you get to see these huge mountains up in the north, and these lakes of lava and blood over in the western portions of the world. It was less kind of an exploration than it was finding out what's actually in those areas. In the dungeon crawling aspect of it, you're going from screen to screen, and you're seeing completely different environments. You go into ice caves, and you go through little cavelets. You go into actual dungeons, you know, torture chambers, things like that, opulent castle areas. There's a dragon horde in the game that you can just explore and find as you move through the game environment.
How did player feedback factor into the changes you made for the second game?
Player feedback actually factored hugely into making this game. All throughout the process of making the game, we constantly had people coming back, either that hadn't played Puzzle Quest at all or puzzle games, and people that were huge fans of the original game, myself included. I played the living heck out of the original Puzzle Quest. Everything from the combat style, how the weapons are actually used in the game, to mana costs for spells, to kind of speed up gameplay or slow down gameplay if it was a little bit too fast. All those kind of things were all tweaked just because player feedback came back and said, you know, this doesn't quite work out, or this would work better if.
So getting into the tweaks and the details, in addition to the large gameplay changes like the change from the overworld map to the dungeons, what other sort of tweaks have been added?
Well, the mini-games are still in the game from the first one. There's completely different mini-games this time around. You have different things that are based around what you would be doing in the dungeon. There's doors to bash down. You'll find treasure caches that you play a treasure search mini-game. You have unlock spells and things like that. You can search rooms. So all the mini-games are still there after a fashion, different mini-games obviously, but they're all based around how you would find it in a dungeon. As well, there's a new feature to the weapons and armor in the game in that you can actually upgrade them. Whereas the first game, you just kind of got weapons and used them, and each of the weapons was completely different in how they are used on the board. This time around, if you find a longsword and you like that longsword, you can use some of the components that you get from defeating enemies and actually upgrade those weapons and armor during the game to make them more powerful.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, I think honestly you're going to see a lot more of the game than just kind of talking about it. I mean, talking about Puzzle Quest 2, it's a match 3 game, RPG elements, that's great and all, but really you kind of have to see it to understand why it's so addicting.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, we're going to play it right now. What about multiplayer? It's my last question.
Both the DS and XBLA version have local multiplayer. The XBLA version also has online multiplayer as well, ranked matches and normal player matches. There's also a tournament mode in the XBLA version where you can take locally 2 players, they choose 4 monsters against another 4 monsters, and you actually have like a battle royale. So I beat you with my goblin, he's got 20 life left, I go up against your orc, I've still got 20 life left. So kind of like a Street Fighter-esque, you know, combat system where it's survival mode and trying to go through the Puzzle Quest monsters.
Are we going to get to play that?
If you want. More than happy to show it.
Cool. Well, check out Kombo for our impressions. This is Mike Joe, and that was Puzzle Quest 2. Thank you.
Thank you.